It was different this time, but it was the same dream. I kept hoping that you were going to be there to tell me that it was just a dream, but you weren't there. It was just me in Daddy's room. I felt small, like a child, and there were these huge machines, and that scope that monitors his heartbeat. It was around, it was surrounding everything, and there was this voice calling to me, begging me to end it, to let him die. Don't die. Sometimes it was my voice. Sometimes it was Daddy's. Don't do it. Did you hold me?
Yeah. Oh, baby. It's a beautiful sunset.
You know, if you get into a plane and follow the horizon, that you can see the sunset forever. All day and all night.
You want time to stop.
God, yes, please. And nothing could touch us. Nothing.
Hello? Anybody home? Hello?
Yeah, come on in, Kirk.
Hey, how you guys doing? Look, I'm sorry to come by so late, but Jack wanted me to get in touch with you as soon as possible.
What is it, the merger?
No, this has nothing to do with the merger. It's your mother. I have some bad news about her case.
So what about Sophia's case?
The trial's been set 2 weeks from today.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Manslaughter?
Yeah.
Well, can she win? Kirk?
I'm not a lawyer.
Well, I know that. What does Jack say?
Jack says no.
What do you mean, no?
No means 2 years. I mean, it could be as little as 2 years.
2 years in prison?
What else did Jack say?
Well, just that this trial isn't going to be your church picnic variety. You know, I mean, the district attorney here is well aware of the publicity this thing's going to be attracting. So if he wants to come across as Mr. Law and Order, he just has to be tough on his well-heeled defendant. And he will be.
Does she know?
No, I was just on my way to tell her. In fact, I was wondering if you'd come along with me.
Why?
Well, look, she's never met me before. This is not the world's greatest news, Eden. Jack just thought it might help if you were there.
Yeah, we'll both come along.
All right, good.
Kirk, I'd like to ask you something.
Yeah, sure.
I assume that the entire family will be called on to testify.
Yes, I think that's Jack's plan. You'll all be called. What's wrong?
It's just that some recent developments these past few weeks have not left me with too kind an opinion about my mother.
I don't understand.
It's a long story.
You see, some disturbing news has been revealed about the man that my mother was accused of killing, however accidentally.
Right, your brother Channing.
My half-brother. He was not my father's child.
Who's then?
Another man, Lionel Lockridge. Sophia kept it a secret for years.
So you can understand how my family felt when they found out, especially my father. As a matter of fact, I find it directly responsible for the reason my father had his stroke.
I didn't realize any of this.
You know, Eden, there was a chance you would have had that...
Your father has left you out of the messy details, and I thought it was only fair that you should know how I feel about getting on the stand to defend my mother. Now, I can't speak for Ted and Kelly. I can only speak for myself. And for me, it would be almost impossible.
Listen, come on now. Think of what's at stake.
What? Well, you want me to defend my mother's sterling character? Trustworthy, loyal. Is
We're
that what
talking
you're
about two different issues here, all right? She's not going on trial for lying about Channing, but for killing him. Now, she may be guilty of the first, but she's certainly not guilty of the latter, so don't confuse those issues.
It is not going to be easy.
Well, forget easy and let's talk about what's right. Is it right for her to go to jail for something that's basically an accident? You want that on your conscience, Eden? Huh? You okay?
No.
And what's that about?
There's always something in this house. It doesn't even feel like home anymore. Excuse me, I'll get Sophia.
She's been, it's been pretty rough on her last few months, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, she didn't need her mother's trial right now, that's for sure. What's your father's strategy going to be? Has he discussed the details with you?
Well, I think he's going to be counting pretty heavily on character witnesses. I don't think he is thrilled with what he has to work with.
Well, then what about a plea bargain? She could cop a deal, right? She could plead guilty to involuntary manslaughter and get off with a suspended sentence.
Well, you think she'd be up for that?
If she's smart.
I don't know. I mean, I could recommend that, Jack. I agree with you. It's probably the best way to go. Yes, Mrs. Armonti. Kurt Cranston. It's a pleasure.
Yes, Mr. Cranston.
I bring regards from Washington.
Yes, Eden just told me that your father has some news about my case.
Yes, he does. Could we sit down?
Certainly, come in here.
We'll be here. Guess I should call Kelly and let her know that we have to stick by Mom during the duration of the trial.
So you're going to go along with me then?
When you're right, you're right.
All right, say that again, will you?
Don't be a glutton.
Come on, say it again. I'd like to hear that.
When you're right, you're right.
All right, sounds good.
Hello? Yes, this is Eden Capwell. Yes, I'll hold.
Who is it?
Police commissioner.
I know one person. He's not...
Yes, Mr. Commissioner. No, Jack Lee's in Washington. Do you need his D.C. phone number? No. Oh, okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
What are you doing?
Calling Kelly?
Just a second. Why does the commissioner need to get in touch with Jack Lee?
What do you think he's doing?
I have a theory, and I hope it's wrong. Just tell me you didn't have anything to do with this.
Look, I don't see the harm.
You called Jack and got him to intercede for me with the commissioner?
Don't you want your job back? Don't you care?
Eden, if I want my job back, I'll get it back myself. I don't need you making secret phone calls for me. Damn it, when are you gonna learn?
It's your job because of me. It's only right that I should do something to help you get it back.
It's not how I operate, and you know it. Sophia, are you okay?
Yes, I am. I'm a little shaky. I don't know why I expected this sooner or later.
Yeah, well, it's got to be a shock.
Yes, it is. But it shouldn't be a long, drawn-out affair. I think my case will consist of Jack putting me on the stand and my telling the truth to the judge. It should be over very quickly. Eden, I know that you and the family were going to participate in this case with me, but I want you to know I no longer hold you to that.
I promised you that I'd testify. I'm still willing to.
The promise was made under different circumstances, darling. I wouldn't want you to compromise yourself in any way. I can get through this myself.
You know, there is an option, which might allow you to avoid much of the ordeal of a trial.
Yeah, I think it might be the best thing.
What?
Well, I haven't discussed it with Jack yet, but the fact is I think he might be willing to go along with it. More importantly, if you'll consider it.
This has anything to do with making a deal? Absolutely not.
Now, wait a minute. Miss Armonti, look, if you plead guilty
No.
to... Now, wait a minute. I want you to hear me out here. You know, your chances of convincing a jury without the support of your family, the full support of your family, they're very slim. But by pleading guilty to involuntary manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter, you know, not only do you have a chance for a suspended sentence, but you just might not spend any time in jail at all.
I am not guilty. I do not want to stand in front of a judge and say that I am.
Well, we're talking degrees here. I think you should listen to Kirk. His suggestion makes sense.
Well, you know, and give Cruz the credit. He's the one that brought it up.
Another thing to consider, if this does go to trial, you're not going to have Cece to testify that he loaded that gun.
That's true.
Will you at least think about it?
All right, I'll think about it. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'd like to talk to you alone for a minute, Eden.
We'll wait outside.
They're right about the plea bargaining. It's really your only chance.
Eden, I didn't ask you to stay to talk about legalities. I want to talk about you and me. Is there any chance we can ever have any trust between us again?
I think it's a little too late for that.
All right, then do this for me. Just listen to my side of it. You don't have to say anything. Just listen. Will you do that?
Tell her that pleading guilty is the best thing for everyone.
Mom,
It's not what I would do if the choice were completely up to me.
but it is up to you. You're the one who's been charged and the one who has to accept what the court decides. I don't think any of us should tell her what to
But
do.
it's not as simple as that, Kelly.
Kelly, listen to me. If I plead not guilty, what about the people who are going to have to testify for me? Now, I want you to be very honest. Would you feel comfortable getting up on that stand saying you have complete faith in me?
I have complete faith that you didn't intend to kill Channing.
But it's more than that. It's a full endorsement of Mama's character. It could get very tricky.
Well, then what choice do we have? Either we believe that she's innocent or we don't. And if we do, we have to be prepared to say that publicly.
And we have to be prepared also to have our family name dragged through the mud publicly.
Now, I don't think we need that after what's happened to Ted with Daddy's illness, have reporters and people pulling pot shots at the Capwells.
Now, wait a minute. Ted came out of that trial with his name totally cleared, and that's all Mom is asking for is a chance to clear her name.
But there's another thing, and that's Jack, and that he doesn't think that we have a chance of winning this trial.
I see. Well, then it's up to Mom, I guess. But I think it's totally wrong. I mean, she has the right to tell the story how it really happened. And if we force her to plead guilty, she'll never be able to do that.
You know what I'm doing right now? I'm thinking what your father would say right now if he could. I think that he might agree with you, Eden, on dragging the family name through the mud. And I really believe that he'd have second thoughts about supporting me in this trial.
Yeah, maybe, Mom. But I know that if it came right down to it, he wouldn't want any shortcuts. Look, he may throw you out of the house, but as long as he's believed that you are not guilty of killing Channing, he would show up in that court to say so.
A plea bargain would at least guarantee you the right to maybe not go to prison.
But you're willing to take the risk?
Yes, I am. Because I want to tell the truth. I'll tell you, if there's something I've learned in the last few weeks is you cannot sacrifice honesty, even though it might seem like a good idea at the time.
Then you have my full support.
Going to prison might not seem like such a high price to pay for regaining some respect.
Well, then it's settled. You're going to plead not guilty, and Eden and I will do everything we can to back you up. We're going to fight this together, Mom. Aren't we, Eden?
As I see it, it depends on Ted now. I mean, Kelly's made her feelings known. You know my position. Whatever Ted says will be which way we go.
A majority vote, is that what it is, Eden? 2/3 of the Capwell children voting so we can make a definitive decision.
Something like that?
You're so much like your father, using corporate tactics for personal matters.
Look, I was only trying to be fair.
I know you were. And I also know that you have borne the brunt of everything since your father got sick. But sometimes, baby, when you try to take on too much, it can harden a person. You don't have time to feel. It's damn the emotion full speed ahead. I don't want to see that happening to you.
You're talking as if it already has.
Eden, your father's a tough act to follow, and I know you keep asking yourself, what would he do? What would he say in this situation? And there is nothing wrong with that unless you lose sight of what you would do or what you're feeling. I don't want you to cut off your natural impulses just because you might feel the need to be like somebody else.
I'm not. I am doing what I think is right.
I only bring this up because I love you, and I don't want you to be obsessed with responsibilities and lose sight of human values. That's what your father did, and that's why he had a stroke.
That, and the fact that the woman he loved more than anything in the world disappointed him and let him down.
Eden, I take full responsibility for my part in your father's illness. But the life he led paved the road for what happened.
And your life, Mother, was all a lie.
And I regret that. You have no idea how much I regret that. And I regret my selfishness, my cowardness, all those mistakes of youth. And I thought I could make up for it, Eden. I thought I could make up for it by being a wonderful mother and by being a good wife. Well, I couldn't do it. I learned that that just can't be done. Can't you, just for a minute, put yourself in my place? All those years ago, I was so young, and I was frightened, and I was pregnant, Eden, with the wrong man's child. I would never do something like that again, and I know that doesn't make any difference, but if you could just, for a minute, understand, maybe you could forgive me.
Why is my forgiveness so important to you?
Because I love you. You're my flesh and my blood. You're my child. And without your love and your forgiveness, I don't have anything. Can't you find it in your heart to forgive me?
Well, have you come to a decision on the plea?
My mother feels very strongly about pleading not guilty. Now, I will do everything I can to keep her out of prison. But there's only so much that she can expect each of us to do.
So, am I to call Jack and tell him that you don't want her to work out a deal?
No. Tell Jack that I'm going to plead guilty to involuntary manslaughter.
Sophia? Well, I just thought Eden said...
I know. But there's no reason to put the entire family through a trial. Tell Jack that and ask him what he can do.
All right. It's the right decision. I don't think you'll regret it.
I hope not.
Okay, well, I'll do that right now. I'll make the call right now.
Thank you.
Look, I understand why you feel the way you do.
Excuse me, Cruz. I have to go to the guest house.
Certainly.
Yeah, Dad, it's me. I'm at the Capitals right now. Yes, I just told her. Well, look, it's been kind of a long evening here. Why don't I just tell you where we're at right now, all right? The fact is, Mrs. Armonti has agreed to enter into a plea of guilty if you think we can get her off in a suspended sentence. Yes. Yes. Well, I'll tell her that. Oh, yes, one more thing. I think you got a call from the commissioner. Yeah, Cruz mentioned that. He seemed kind of curious about it. Was he able to get in touch with you? Cruz what? He quit? I didn't realize that. Why, is that because you tried to send him to Miami? Yeah, he's that kind of guy. Yeah, fine, all right. That'll work out great. Okay, we'll talk tomorrow. Well, that was Jack. He seems to feel the same way. The plea bargain is the best way to go at this point.
I can't believe that she accepted that.
So he's going to move on it right away?
Yeah, absolutely. First thing tomorrow morning. Oh, by the way, he talked to the commissioner.
What happened?
Not much, I guess, with, apparently if a guy quits, it's kind of hard to get him reinstated.
Man, I never asked anyone to speak for me. That was Eden's doing.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jack wanted me to mention this to you, Cruz. The fact is, if you do decide to go for reinstatement, he said they'll be very receptive.
Well, good. They know where I live. I'm not going to go begging those guys.
Suit yourself.
Thanks, Kirk. And if you talk to Jack before I do, thank him for putting a word in. If Cruz doesn't appreciate it, at least I do.
She's right. I don't appreciate it. Eden? Where are you, baby? There you are. Yeah, I woke up and you were gone. What happened?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know how I got here.
Are you serious?
I had that dream again.
Darling, why didn't you wake me up?
I had to get here.
Your father?
He was calling to me through the dream, and I remember getting out of bed, and I remember getting here.
Eden, look, I'm coming over. You stay where you are, okay?
Okay.
It's okay, Eden. It's all right. I'm here. There's nothing to be afraid of. Are you okay now?
Yes, I'm sorry I panicked like that.
Look, you don't have to apologize. I'm glad I was here.
It's not often that I have a chance to...
Want to see me lose my cool?
Eden, I've always admired your cool. But it makes me feel good if I can help you out.
You've helped me out? With the Walton deal and in Hawaii?
Eden, I mean personally. I like you. Very much.
Well, I like you too. I wonder if you saw what happened.
By holding you.
No. He saw me panic. I'd hate for him to feel like I didn't like to be near him.
Eden, if he saw it, he'd understand.
Oh, I hope so.
Darling, are you ready to come home now?
Cruz, it's as if he's reaching out to me in my dreams and my thoughts.
Baby, I think you should stay away from this room for a while.
He's a prisoner of these machines. He's a prisoner of his body and of these machines. And I need to be here for him.
No, you don't need to be here. Not when it's making you feel like this. If you get sick, it's not going to do him any good.
Nothing's going to do him any good.
Eden,
Nothing.
you can't give up on him now. He's fighting for his life.
Is he? No, I don't think so. Look at these things. He is fighting to end it, but we won't let him. Oh, God.
Darling, please. Please.
No. I saw my father's face, and he was staring at me and the scope, and he was begging me to end it. He was pleading with me to do it.
To do what?
To end it.
Oh.
His misery and his indignity. It was the same as when he was alive and he was asking me, but this time he was begging. He was begging me to please end it.
You're very tired, and you need to get some sleep.
No.
Eden?
I wanted to make him better. I wanted to make him better, and I couldn't. And in my dream, in my waking dream, I reached up to the power switch, and I was going to turn it off.
Listen to me. Once when I was in France, I found myself on the edge of a cliff looking down, and I realized that I could just let go and fall. There was nothing to keep me from doing that. It terrified me to realize I had the option. Now, the same thing's going on here. You're sitting around staring at him in these machines hour after hour, and your own thoughts are starting to drive you crazy.
He didn't want to live this way.
That man does not want to die. Now, you have to stop torturing yourself. When these thoughts come in your mind, you have to cut them dead. It's only when you dwell on them that they start to seem real.
I don't know what's real anymore. I'm scared.
Baby. We're gonna get through this together. It'll be okay.
I don't want all these people in here, Mr. Capwell. This isn't a public hearing.
Yes, I understand that, Your Honor, but Inspector Castillo has a strong involvement in the case, and Mrs. Armante's
I don't even want Mrs. Armante in the room now. This is going to be a very quiet threesome here. Myself, District Attorney Patterson, and you.
Excuse me, Your Honor, but how can you have a hearing with the defendant not present?
Eden.
Counsel can explain the technicalities to you on his own time, Miss Capwell.
I will, Your Honor.
Pardon me, Your Honor.
Yes.
As Mr. Capwell has pointed out, I was actively involved from this case from the beginning. I was the arresting officer and did most of the investigating.
I'm sure we're all aware you're one of Santa Barbara's finest, Inspector Castillo.
Thank you, sir. I don't need a pat on the back, though. I just think that my presence might be helpful to all parties. I have a few thoughts I'd like to contribute to the proceedings.
Well, let's not waste any more time talking about it. Counsel, you really want this fellow in here? Now, just give me a simple yes or no answer.
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Any objection, Mr. Patterson?
I can't think of anything right now, Your Honor. I hope there is no reason to change my mind later on.
Does that mean no objection?
It does, Your Honor.
Okay, Inspector, you're in. Everyone else, wait outside.
Well, wait a second.
Now, I'll bring you both back in just as soon as I've made my decision.
Eden, thank you.
For what?
Thank you for coming with me today and for being so concerned in there. It makes me very happy that you're all fighting for me, that you're behind me, even though I know that you're all very angry.
I don't think one thing really has anything to do with the other.
Maybe not, but I'm still very grateful. Do you think that you and Ted and Kelly will ever be able to forgive me?
I don't know.
It's so strange. A lifetime ago, I made a decision to tell a lie for what I thought were very justifiable reasons then, and that lie has come back to rob me of everything that's important in my life. The love and respect of my children and their father.
I guess it wasn't justifiable in the first place then.
Maybe not, but I can't do anything about the past, but I can do something about the future. I can try to win your love again, if that's possible, and Cece's.
And furthermore, Your Honor, I submit that Sophia Armonte has paid for her mistakes and will continue to pay for them for the rest of her life. But they are only mistakes, not crimes committed with malice aforethought or even crimes of passion, for she never intended to kill anyone. Mrs. Armonte is now close to her family again, and they are the ones who would be hurt if she were to be taken away once more. She has proven since her return that she is no threat to society. Therefore, I urge you to accept a plea of guilty to the reduced charge of involuntary manslaughter with the promise of a suspended sentence for this woman who, in my opinion, has already suffered enough.
Is that it, counsel?
It is, Your Honor.
Well, you're obviously committed to this case and to your client, but you haven't shown me any reason why I should accept a reduced plea, a reduced charge, and suspend the sentence. The woman admits she's guilty of taking a young man's life, and she did set up a potentially dangerous situation. You haven't shown me any reason why she doesn't belong in jail.
Your Honor, as assistant DA, I worked on many cases, but none of them cried out for leniency as much as this one.
I disagree, counsel. Even if Channing Capwell Jr. only lived up to half of his potential, why, he would have had a lifetime of accomplishments.
No doubt about it. He was an outstanding kid, a pride to this community.
I remember how excited my wife and kids were when he won that international riding championship. He got his picture on the cover of a big-time magazine. For a boy like that to have his life cut short in such a senseless way, well, it's a shame.
Yes, Your Honor, I will agree that Channing Capwell was a young man of obvious talent and charisma. He was also the apple of his mother's eye, and his accidental death was the greatest tragedy of her life.
Nevertheless, she is the one who fired the bullet that killed him. You don't just snuff out a life like that and expect to walk away freed. That's not the way the legal system in this country works. That's not the way you serve the best interests of society.
Your Honor, I fail to see how society will benefit in the least by putting this woman behind bars.
Inspector, you're the one who got her to confess. Don't you think she deserves to serve time?
Actually, Your Honor, I was hoping to...
Now, come on. Now, you pushed your way right into the middle of this, so make yourself useful.
Before I reply, I'd like to take a moment alone to confer with Mr. Capwell, if I may.
Well, I don't see the point of it, but make it fast.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Excuse us, Your Honor.
I want a chance to testify as a character witness for Sophia. I think maybe I could get him to see he's making a mistake.
Think you'll have any better luck than I did?
I don't know. I'm not a member of the family. That might make me seem more credible.
Well, what's going on?
Nothing yet. All right, go ahead, Cruz. I'd like to say we have nothing to lose, but if you rile His Highness in there any more than he already is, we won't have a prayer.
I don't think we have a prayer right now.
What's going on?
I don't have time to explain it, but don't worry. I think I can handle this.
Handle what?
Acting as a character witness for Sophia, trying to sway a judge whose mind is set in concrete.
Well, I think if anybody can do it, Cruz can.
I hope so. I got nowhere. Excuse me.
Doesn't sound like things are going too well.
Don't you worry, honey. We'll be all right. We're in good hands.
During the investigation, I pieced together the events that led to the shooting, events that Sophia herself repressed immediately after the act. You see, the woman had never committed a crime of any kind, had no history of violent behavior. It was completely out of character for her to threaten somebody with a gun, even an empty one. That she was driven to such an extreme is simply a measure of how desperately frightened she was. She believed that gun was empty. There's no doubt about that. She herself had removed the bullets. What she didn't know is that her former husband had replaced them. In my mind, there's no doubt the woman would have given up her own life before harming her son. I mean, she loved Channing very, very much. Ironically, that very morning, he himself had used the same gun to threaten a former friend who was trying to blackmail him, but that's beside the point. What I need to say is, I know her. And, Your Honor, I swear there's no way she's a threat to anyone. I'm sure there are many people, including her own children, the brothers and sisters of the boy who was killed, who would gladly testify to that in court if need be. She is not a killer. All you'd have to do is spend a little time with her yourself, and that would be perfectly clear. So I implore you to do so before you make your decision. See her, talk to her. I think you'll come to the same conclusion.
Bring in Mrs. Armante.
Okay, Your Honor. Here.
I want to talk to her alone. Will everyone else please step outside? Have a seat, Mrs. Armante.
Thank you.
I've been told that you have been punished enough for what you've done. You feel that way too?
No, I don't.
Would you explain that, please?
How could anyone be punished enough for killing their own child? If I had remembered what I had done at the time, I would have turned myself in immediately and begged to be put to death or at least in prison for the rest of my life.
Why did you decide to plead not guilty when you finally did find out?
By that time, I had come home again. My children had accepted me. And we loved each other again, and I could see how much Cece needed me. You see, that they all believed in my innocence. So, I wanted to fight for myself, for their sake. But the truth is that something inside me died with Channing. You see, I loved him more than I loved myself or my own life. Your Honor, I am not afraid of a trial. As a matter of fact, that's the way I wanted it. Except for the fact that my children would have to relive over and over again the shameful moment when their mother killed her own child, their brother. So you see, Your Honor, I am very glad right now that I am pleading guilty, because that means that it will be over quickly. And at least I can spare them some hell.
Mrs. Armante, would you, wait outside with the others for a few minutes? I'll let you know what my decision is as soon as I've made it. I have reached my decision. As you're all aware from the first, my inclination in this case has been to dole out a good stiff sentence to this defendant. The circumstances certainly seemed to me to warrant it. I began to have some doubts when I saw the compassion that all of you feel for this woman. You all feel deeply that she's paid a very heavy price for what she's done, that her family has paid too, and that she'll have to live with the consequences of her actions for the rest of her life. Now, I have often said that the record speaks for itself. In this case, however, just examining the record was not enough. You were right, Inspector Castillo. In order for me to make my decision, I had to find out who this woman really was, to catch a true glimpse of her soul, if you will. through your eyes and through her own eyes. I believe I have done that. I will accept the plea of guilty and suspend sentence as was requested. Don't look so glum, Mr. Patterson. I am going to impose a sentence of sorts. Mrs. Armonte, I'm going to require that you devote 10 hours a week for the next 2 years to a public service project to be determined.
Does this mean that she doesn't have to go to prison?
So long as she fulfills conditions of her sentence, that is correct.
Your Honor,